Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today, where we are joined by Olga Rudnieva, the Project Manager of Medsanbat. Olga, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Could you start by telling us about the main objectives of Medsanbat?
Well, we started the project in October 2014, and basically we're looking at the military conflict that we have in eastern Ukraine, and we thought what we can do at a private foundation to save lives. And we didn't want to buy any military equipment. We wanted purely save life, and we thought it's going to be, pretty quick. So we started talking to people. We came to the hospital, the military hospital in Kyiv, and we saw that a lot of guys were coming to the military hospital. In September, they had more people than they had during Afghanistan period. And they were like, we are overwhelmed with many injured people. And the basic problem that doctors on the front line, they knew little about such injuries like military injuries. They're basically pediatricians, they are dentists, and they know nothing about that. So they need training, and they absolutely barehanded. They have nothing in their hands to save lives. So the idea was we want to do paramedic training, and we want to equip them with necessary stuff that they can actually do efficient healthcare and saving lives at a battlefield.
And you said that the doctors, many of them were pediatricians, they were dentists, and they were not prepared for the kind of conflict, the wounds that they were dealing with. Why, in your opinion, were these doctors not capable of dealing with these kind of injuries?
The problem is we didn't have war for a very long time, and the whole structure was ruined by the previous government. Basically, during Yanukovych period as a president, all these military doctors' trainings were shut, and we had a camp training military doctors, improving their qualification. It wasn't just shut, it was totally ruined. The medical university used to have the military department, and it was shut in 2012, I guess. So basically, the whole system was ruined, and doctors were basic, normal, like family doctors. They didn't do the first aid. We don't have paramedics in Ukraine. So basically, they knew how to help people do the general health care, but the type of injuries that actually faced in the ATO, that was something they had no idea how to deal with.
So did you just start by training doctors, or are you also training soldiers?
Well, we started, the idea was to train doctors, and when we talked with the Ministry of Defense, they said we need to train 350 doctors and equip them. When we started training them, we realized there is not such a profession even. Some battalions didn't have doctors. And basically the idea was, who wants to be a doctor? And the most, the nicest guys were like, okay, I'm not afraid of blood, I can be doctor. We were very excited to train anyone, but when you start tactical medical training, you understand that the person is lacking basic medical skills. So we did a first combat lifesaver for them with basic understanding what is the IFAC, and basic stuff. And then we're moving to the tactical medicine. Also, we're looking at volunteers, at journalists, anyone who is going to the ATO quite often. And they also are very, fragile, and they are vulnerable to military injuries. So we also train them as well. So all in all, as of now, we trained more than 4,000 doctors, soldiers, and volunteers in frames of Medsanbat.
So currently you have trained 4,000?
4,000, starting with the goal 350.
Well, and what is your plan for the future? Will you continue to train battalions, the Ukrainian army, journalists, and anyone else who wants your help?
The most important thing that we are doing right now, we are refilling backpacks that we send to the ATO. Doctors are calling us day and night, 24/7. They are running out of stuff because of the conflict is, is on. Nothing is actually stopped, and they are having a lot of injured people. So we are refilling whatever they used so far, and we're also training a Ministry of Defense trainers, because we understand that we, as a private foundation, staying aside from the Ministry of Defense structure, not that very efficient at this point, because a lot of stuff were done by the government during this period of time. I have to admit, they improved healthcare system, they improved the military doctors, status and everything. They built the structure so far. So the idea is actually to hand the project to the government, so it can be part of the government policy and government strategy to train the doctors, equip the doctors. So at this very moment, we are training trainers from military academy, and we are refilling backpacks. And we see what else we can do to be efficient in this conflict.
I understand some of the training that you have conducted has taken place in the conflict zone. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did a lot of ATO trips. When we started our first training in 2 weeks, we had American trainers. We had a fully American team who trained Ukrainian team afterwards, and they just went to the ATO zone and they were training doctors who are already in the ATO zone, saving lives, because we realized that it's fantastic to do training in Kyiv for those who are mobilized and will go to the ATO one day. But there are people right there sitting in the ATO and lacking information, lacking equipment, so that's why we went there. For our American trainer, that was, mind-blowing experience. They returned and they said, we never ever saw such motivated people who are basically barehanded, barefooted, extremely patriotic, saving lives in these very, horrible conditions. They said, we never ever saw that in our lives. So they were very, very motivated by seeing Ukrainians fighting in the East. And basically every 2 months we were going to the ATO. The problem in ATO, you cannot do the full 5-day training. You basically grab a person, train as long as you can, and then this person goes. Sometimes it's 2 days training, sometimes it's a day and a half. Very often these guys are very tired. They want to sleep. They want just get some rest because they had a severe fightings before. But when they understand that they can get this very important information, they're like, forget sleep. We're going to get this information. We're going to talk to these guys who knows, what do we have to do.
So when doing the training in the combat zone, what are some of the most common injuries that these guys are coming across?
We have all kinds of injuries, a lot of breakages, a lot of, fragments stuck in the bodies. We had, our trainers were in Artemovsk when the Debaltsevo was actually, people from Debaltsevo were out. And at a certain period of time, we were there for 2 weeks, and I was talking to my team, and they told me there is no theoretical training anymore. We are doing practical training because we have a lot of injured people walking, from Debaltsevo to Artemovsk on their feet. And basically, they were, saving their lives and demonstrating to other doctors how to do that. So a lot, very often it's a lot of bleedings, very, very quick bleedings, because a lot of snipers are working in the ATO zone. I also have to mention that doctors are the target #1 during the fights, because the idea of our enemies, you have to shot the doctor because it dismotivates people, and so that's why our doctors ask us not to mark with a red cross anything that they have. If you have the red cross on IFAC or on a backpack, they just basically put a sticker on it so nobody can actually see it's a doctor. So it's the bleedings and yeah, that kind of.
So just one final question, just to cover what you just said. Have you and your trainers seen specifically doctors and journalists being targeted by Russian-backed militants, knowing that they are doctors, knowing that they are journalists?
I know about doctors, and we have a doctor who is working with us. His name is Anton. He's on Facebook, you can find him. He's in the list of #1 enemies. There is a website where DNR is mentioning their #1 enemies, they are targets. So if anyone from DNR finds them, they have to kill them. So he is listed, and it says he's a doctor, he's pretty young, he's 1988, that his year of birth, and he's #1 target, and he's a doctor. So he knows that, but he keeps going back and forth. He's from Maidan, he's extremely motivated, his life is not easy, and we are refilling his backpack on enormous speed because he's doing a lot, and he's forming his own medical brigade at the moment in the ATO.
Olga, that's fantastic. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Once again, you have been watching Ukraine Today, where we have been joined by Olga Rudnieva with Medsanbat, who are providing medical training to the doctors and soldiers fighting in eastern Ukraine. Thank you for watching.